boss's office.
Oh, hello, Mr. Riley. Did you want to see Mr. Stevenson?
Oh, yeah. The boys on my shift are complaining about a loose nut on a ventilator fan. Makes so much noise you can hardly hear yourself rivet.
Well, he's just talking to his wife on the phone, but I guess you can go in.
Oh, well, from what I hear about his wife, he might be glad to be interrupted.
Yes, but listen, Petty. But listen, dear. But, Letitia, I'm busy now. Somebody just came into the office. Sit down, Riley.
Oh, thanks, boss.
Listen, dear. Something urgent has just come up. It is urgent, isn't it, Riley?
No, it can wait.
Riley says it's urgent, dear. Of course I'm interested in Mimi's happiness. She's my daughter, too, isn't she? But what can I do? Now, listen, dear. That's going too far. I don't care what her husband did at lunch today. Well, what if he does put sugar on his lettuce?
Well, sure. Sugar and vinegar, it's a great dish. Even without the lettuce.
Now, Petty, now suppose he did cut it with his knife.
What else would he cut it with, a spoon?
That's not enough to break up Mimi's marriage, Letitia. Oh, all right, dear, I'll talk to him tonight. Yes, I'll be home right away. Goodbye. Well, Riley, what is it?
There's a nut loose that's making some trouble.
It's not that bad, Riley. My wife's just high-strung.
Oh, no, the nut I mean is on a ventilator fan. I'm sorry to bother you now. I can see your head's got other things on your mind.
Well, listen, Riley, let me tell you the whole story. 2 years ago, my daughter made a hasty wartime marriage. I've never even seen this boy, Joe, that Mimi married. She met him in a canteen back east, knew him only 2 months. Then he was shipped out. They were married 15 minutes before they had to say goodbye.
What a honeymoon. The bride and groom in separate places. That may be modern, but it'll never be popular.
Well, now, Riley, now the boy's back. An honorable discharge. My wife met him for the first time today at lunch. Uh-huh. And she doesn't think he's the right man for Mimi.
Well, there's more to being a good husband than how you partake of your grub.
Riley, that's what I think. But I'm in a spot. You see, my daughter's on a train coming home from San Francisco. Doesn't even know she's going to see Joe yet. And my wife wants me to see him first and persuade him to, well, give Mimi up.
No kidding.
Yeah. And now that she's met him, well, she just can't see why our daughter ever married him.
Mr. Stevenson, if nobody ever married nobody except somebody else thought somebody ought to marry, nobody'd get married to nobody. And where would their children be?
Riley, I wish you could meet this boy and size him up. You're a down-to-earth fellow. You see deeper than what a man's table manners are, and... Say
what?
Riley, why don't you have dinner at my house tonight? Meet this boy, and then we'll both decide what I ought to say to him.
Me? Oh, no, thanks, boss.
But, Riley, I just want your opinion.
But, boss, this is your daughter. You better leave me out of it. I don't want to be the godfather in no divorce case.
Hello?
Hello, Dumplin'.
Oh, Riley, where are you, dear?
Well, I'm at the boss's house. I'm going to have dinner here.
Really? Why?
Well, I'll tell you when I get home. Listen, honey, you ought to see this joint. It's just like in the movies.
My, I'll bet you'll have a lovely dinner.
Yeah, I peeked in at the dining room table. You should see all the tools they give you to eat with. Dr. Gillespie ain't got that many knives.
Oh, quiet, dear. Someone will hear you.
Oh, no, that's okay. Mr. Stevenson is upstairs talking to his wife. Well, kiss Babs for me and shake hands with Junior.
I'll try to handle things till you get back, dear. But Babs isn't here.
Is she out again? You know I don't want her out after dark alone.
But she's not alone. She's with that new boy who lives down the street.
I've heard about that boy. I'd rather she was alone. Peg, I don't like this about Babs running with new boys. Any boy she goes with, I want to talk to first.
How do, sir? You Mr. Stevenson? My name is Joe Bean.
No, I'm Bascom the butler. This way, Mr. Bean. Mr. Stevenson asked that you go directly into the drawing room. He's been expecting you. You go down this hall and turn left.
So like I say, honey, no daughter of mine is going to get mixed up with nobody.
Yes, dear. Don't get so excited.
Well, a father can't be too careful. Think of who you might have married if you hadn't married me.
Yes, dear.
Well, okay, Dumpling, I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear.
Good evening, sir.
Huh? Oh, good evening.
Butler said for me to come on into the drawing room.
Well, you're in it.
Yes, sir. I heard you talking on the telephone.
Huh?
I don't blame you for feeling the way you do about your daughter.
Oh, you know her, huh?
Why, yes, sir. Like you said, maybe I am kind of a nobody.
Well, I wouldn't jump over conclusions like that. You look okay to me.
I do? You mean it's all right with you for us to be married?
Married? You asking me to marry my daughter?
Well, we are married. Didn't you know it?
Married? You got the nerve to... No, it ain't so. She wouldn't get married until she told me, not Babs.
Babs? Her name's not Babs.
I know my own girl's name.
Yes, sir, but I know my own wife's name. I always call her Mimi.
What right do you got to change Babs' name to Mimi? Wait a minute. Mimi, are you married to Mimi Stevenson?
Well, yes, sir. I'm Joe Bean.
Oh, what a relief. Babs is still single. For a minute, I was on the way to being a grandfather. Riley's my name. Mr. Stevenson will be right down. He'll be glad to see you, Joe.
I'm not so sure about that. I've been thinking maybe I couldn't make Mimi as happy as I want her to be.
Well, how do you know until you try?
Oh, I sure would like to try. She's so fine. She's beautiful, too. For 2 years, ever since I shipped out, all I thought about was her. I even marked off the days on the side of my plane till I could be with her again.
Well, now you're here.
Yeah, sure did get me a surprise when I met Mimi's mother.
Well, yeah, that's one thing about marriage. Eventually, you run into your mother-in-law.
Yeah, see, I was raised on a ranch in Texas, and my folks is just good, hard-working people, and I never was in a house like isn't before in all of my life.
No, neither was I. Did you ever see such thick rugs? The nap is so long, sometimes I can't find my feet.
The way these folks live. Mamie never told me about having so much money, and I haven't got any.
So what? Rich people get gout.
Of course, I could support Mimi somehow, but not like her father did.
Why, guess Mrs. Stevenson gave you that idea, huh?
Yes, she did. She said I ought to give Mimi her freedom before I spoiled her life. So I thought about it, and, well, I certainly wouldn't want to ruin Mimi's life.
What's all this about ruining my daughter's life?
My name is Bean, sir. Joe Bean.
Well, my name's Stevenson.
Oh, yeah, boss, meet your son-in-law. Joe, meet your wife's old man.
How are you?
Pleasure.
Joe here's been telling me he don't know about being able to make Mimi happy and...
Oh, indeed. Well, Bean, if you don't have confidence in yourself, perhaps Mimi's mother's right. Be best to call it off.
Well, maybe. I sure do want Mimi to be happy. I'm so mixed up I can't think.
Boss, if you don't mind me yelling from the bleachers, it seems to me that Mimi ought to have a say in all this someplace.
Riley, I guess you're right. Mimi just phoned. She'll be here in half an hour.
Oh, well, okay. Now, I got something to say. You sit down, Mr. Stevenson. You too, Joe. And just remember, Joe, marriage is an old and honorable institution. And nobody's escaping from the institution till I'm through talking.
Well, just what story can Riley tell that could possibly keep Joe's very shaky marriage to Mimi from going on the rocks? Well, we'll find out in just a moment. In the meantime, this is Ken Niles carrying the ball for your meatpacking industry. This evening, the subject of my 60-second speech is time. Time, the name of a news magazine. Time, the thing you can't turn back. Time is money. And time is Rule 1, Page 1 of braising meat. Braising cuts of beef are point-free. They're lean and flavorsome. They're rich in proteins. But it takes time, T-I-M-E, to cook those glistening brown pieces of tender-eating meat. It takes time to bring out that golden gravy. It takes time to transform those braising cuts into pleasant pieces of tender-eating meat. So give 'em a break, ladies, by giving 'em time. And your family will be rewarded with something really extra special in meat eating. The real value of longer braising time, however, is that it's under lower cooking heat, where meat retains nearly all its high nutritional value. Slow and easy does it in braising meat. And lest you forget, those high-quality proteins of meat are in the braising cuts of beef, just as they are in all cuts of meat. Meat measures up to every protein need. That's why meat is a yardstick of protein foods. And now back to The Life of Riley with William Bendix as Riley. Only a few seconds have passed since we left Riley, his boss, Mr. Stevenson, and Joe Bean, the boss's new son-in-law, in the drawing room at the magnificent Stevenson home. Riley is about to launch into a story which he hopes will prevent the breakup of Joe Bean's marriage to Mr. Stevenson's daughter, Mimi.
Well, fellas, this story I'm going to tell you is about love. And, strange enoughly, it's got a boy and girl in it, too. This all happened quite a while ago to a guy I know named Riley.
Riley? Why, that's your name.
Ain't that a coincidence? Well, this fella Riley was about 21, and he'd fell for this wonderful girl, see? He'd give her a whirlwind wooing for 3 years and finally swept her off her feet. He thought his troubles was all over, but they was just starting. Come in, who is it?
It's your trousome, gruesome pal, Jelly Kelly.
Well, good morrow, Mr. Kelly.
Don't give me that mister treatment, Riley. Just 'cause you're marrying into society.
Go straight in a pretzel.
Gee, Riley, I hope you don't go highbrow. There's an ugly rumor going around that your fiancée has been correcting your grammar on you.
Oh, yeah, well, she ain't. I mean, she aren't.
Hey, Riley, what's the idea of wearing a new suit on a weekday?
Oh, well, this here suit is my trousseau. I'm breaking it in today for the wedding next week. How do I look, eh?
Oh, you look great.
Hey.
But don't go past no undertaking parlor or they'll give you an estimate.
Very chucklesome.
Got a date with your pain in the neck to be?
Well, no, with her uncle, Quincy Turnbull.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I ain't never met him, but he writes me this here letter saying that he'd come all the way from Boston to have a chat with me.
A what?
A chat. I guess in Boston, people don't talk to each other. They just chat.
Where are you going to chatter with him?
Well, he said to meet him at 4 o'clock at the Hotel Royal for tea.
Riley, you're drinking tea?
Well...
Oh, we lost you completely.
Mr. Riley, as Margaret's uncle on the maternal side, our branch of the family insisted that I interview her fiancé before it was too late. Would you care for some more tea and crumpets, young man?
No thanks, Mr. Turnbull. I'm full up. I drank so much tea I can feel them trumpets I ate floating around.
Crumpets, young man.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. I ain't used to this fancy society stuff.
I can see that. Now, as to your financial status, Riley, my niece has been distressingly vague as to your business.
Well, I'm kind of sort of in a trucking business.
Ah, the trucking business.
Yeah.
Well, that's an expanding field. Are you alone in this venture?
Oh, no, sir. I got 2 horses to help me.
Horses? You mean you drive a horse-drawn truck?
That's right. I inherited the job from my father. You might say I'm following in my father's hoofprints.
Indeed. I trust that the material compensation for such a prosaic vocation is commensurately remunerative.
Would you care for another shot of tea, Uncle Quincy?
I mean, how much money do you make?
Oh, money. Well, I'm